cannot marry a murderer.
Matt is actively taking steps to change.
I was sick, but I am healing.
It's great to see you both again and to chat about season 2. I am so thrilled by what happens this season. I mean, I love the way it expands your characters, your relationships with each other, as well as with Chris and Kaylee, and I can't wait for people to see it. So, Liana, I'd love to start with you because the season kicked off on quite the cliffhanger in that we see you're with Tom here, but as we find out in season 2, you've learned a lot in between the 2 seasons. What was it like, taking that journey, that step forward with her, and really expanding on that side of things?
Challenging. I think when I read the first episode, I was like, wow, I could have thought of a lot of different directions Tori would go, and this was not one of them, which I think will be exciting for the audience, and it was exciting for me to read. And I think that, I had a hard time in the beginning trying to justify how Tori got there. And ultimately what I landed on is she loves him. And also, this is a comedy and it's supposed to be fun. And I think that it wasn't really until we got on set and I was working across from Tom and we got to play and we were in our very fun retreat outfits and talking about being Zen and meditation and all of the things that I really started to settle into Tori. And it was really fun. It was really fun. It was not what I expected. And I'm excited for the audience to see where we've taken Tori.
Well, I'm also excited for them to see where you guys have taken Matt, because Tom, I'll turn to you next. I mean, it is so funny watching you have to balance your instincts, let's say, with your desire to want to grow. What is that like from the performance side of things, capturing that mental struggle that he has?
Super interesting. It was one of the, I was very, thrown when I first read the first couple of episodes, but as I heard their sort of overarching idea for where that leads us, and I thought that's a super interesting road to go down. So just lent really into it. But that tug of like, I'm trying to be, or at least present myself to be, this better person who's trying to control this side of him, and then everything being triggered by that and having to really wrestle with that was super interesting. And it's something that we kind of touched upon in season 1. You're not allowed to do this anymore, and you really struggled with it. But we really lean into that, and I think it was super smart and kind of, it's very funny, but also quite a smart direction to go down, that he tries to apply the rules of an AA alcoholic to his own recovery. How am I going to live without this huge thing in my life? What am I going to replace it with? It was very, very interesting, and also offers up a whole gamut of comedic possibilities too.
That it does, and a few bloody ones at the same time, which I'd actually love to hear from both of you, because without necessarily spoilers, you do both get involved in a few bloodier sequences this season. And Liana, you obviously came from Scream 7, and or Scream 6, I should say. I'd love to hear what it's like getting into that side of things versus just playing up the comedy or the intense character work.
It feels like home. I love it. I was definitely hoping to see Tori, if we were going to lean into Tori getting on board with Matt, I was like, I kind of want to see her in the action a little bit more. And I want her to fully be aware of of the levity of what's happening. And I'm happy that we got to explore that, but I won't go into details.
And then Tom, how about for you? Since you get a few more bloodier sequences this season than even last season.
I do, yeah. And what I kind of loved was that I'm not going to say a number of episodes, I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but working our way through, and when it came to the first one of me killing someone, I thought, oh, I haven't done this for a while. I was like, oh my God, let's remember how they did it quite a lot in season 1. And yeah, like Liana said, it felt like coming home. I thought, yeah, this is who this character is. And he's, in a way, without getting too meta about it, you think, this is the journey he's been on, denying yourself this thing, and to give into it felt like, oh man, it's inevitable. Like, this is who this character is. And yeah, a leopard can't change its spots. And it kind of reminded me, the parable of it's like the bird and the scorpion across the river, and the scorpion stings the bird and goes, I'm a scorpion, is what I do. It was like that. I thought, what did you expect? This guy was never going to just come round and have a bowl of pasta in your house and talk about the weather.
It's a really interesting way when it finally kicks off, and I can't wait for people to see it. I think I've got enough time for one more quick question. So I'd also love to hear about, Tom, you and Chris playing together this season, since this season feels a lot more like he's really goading Chris on to push him towards the darker side of things this season.
Yeah, and it's super fun. I mean, I love Chris as a person, so as we all do. So working with him is always a joy. But it was another interesting, because here's Matt trying to sort of fix himself in one way, and then on the other, he's just like got this. Nathan's like his puppet, and he's just making him dance, and he's sort of like, let's see how far I can push this guy, and he's a true psychopath in that he knows just the right buttons to push. One of my favorite moments is when he loses at the tennis match and Kaylee's character manages to cool him down, and he goes, see, she loves me, she forgives me. I'm like, no, she doesn't. She's just telling you what you need to do. Stop embarrassing her. It's such a great little twist of the knife, and it was super fun to play. But Chris is so many beautiful things, and he's just this heart that you're just watching this evil. I felt like the dentist in Little Shop of Horrors, and just sort of like just messing with him, and seeing how far I could push him, which is super fun. And I loved our whole story arc, because they're kind of best friends in a way. They need each other, but he ends up loathing him, and yeah, it was lovely.
Well, I can't wait for people to see how this arc plays out for both of your characters, because especially the way it ends, I want a season 3 already. So I'm excited to get the word out and get you guys that season 3. So thank you both so much for taking the time. I really do appreciate it.
What's the poster behind you?
This is Midnight Mass. This is my vinyl for Midnight Mass. I adore that show.
That's my absolute favorite television show.
Well, isn't that fortuitous? I just got that up in the background there. That's awesome.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
You're not killing these people, then who is?
That's what I want to know.
Killer strikes again.